Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel Bug No Jutsu. In today's video, we're going to solve an interesting SQL and Pandas problem from LeetCode. Customer who visited but did not make any transactions. This problem teaches us how to work with missing data and how to analyze user behavior. We'll first explain the problem, go through an example, then we'll discuss how to solve it in SQL and Pandas. Finally, I will share few insights. So watch till the end. Let's dive right in. Let's start by understanding what this problem is asking us to do. Imagine you're managing a mall and you have two different types of data. The first dataset records the visits of customers to the mall. Every time a customer enters the mall, it gets recorded as a visit, with a unique visit ID and the customer's ID. The second dataset tracks transactions. Whenever a customer makes a purchase during a visit, it's recorded as a transaction, with a unique transaction ID, the visit ID it belongs to, and the amount spent. Now, as a mall manager, you're interested in identifying customers who visited but didn't spend anything at all. This could help with marketing strategies. For example, you might want to target those customers with special promotions to encourage them to buy something next time. So your task is, find the customers who visited the mall but didn't make any transactions during those visits. Also, count how many such visits each customer had. In simple words, you want a report that shows customer ID, number of times they visited the mall without buying anything. This type of analysis is actually common in many businesses, especially in retail, e-commerce, and restaurants, where understanding customer behavior can drive better business decisions. Let's carefully walk through this example step by step. We are given two tables. One table records visits, showing which customers visited the mall and their visit IDs. The second table records transactions, showing which visits led to purchases and how much was spent. Here's what we know from the visits table. Customer 23 visited the mall once with visit Idaho 1. Customer 9 visited once with visit ID 2. Customer 30 visited once with visit ID 4. Customer 54 visited the mall 3 times, with visit IDs 5, 7, and 8. Customer 96 visited once with visit ID 6. This simply shows how many times each customer visited the mall. Now, looking at the transactions table, visit ID 1 has a transaction, meaning customer 23 made a purchase. Visit ID 2 also has a transaction, meaning customer 9 made a purchase too. Visit ID 5 has 3 separate transactions, meaning customer 54 made multiple purchases during that visit. The rest of the visits, visit IDs 4, 6, 7, and 8, have no transactions recorded at all. Next, we focus only on the visits that had no purchases. Visit ID 4. No transaction, this is customer 30's visit. Visit ID 6. No transaction, this is customer 90's visit. Visit IDs 7 and 8. No transactions, both visits by customer 54. Now, we count the number of visits without transactions for each customer. Customer 30 had 1 visit without purchases. Customer 96 also had 1 visit without purchases. Customer 54 had 2 visits without purchases. Thus, the final result should report Customer 54 count 2 no transaction visits. Customer 30 count 1 no transaction visit. Customer 96 count 1 no transaction visit. Now let's talk about how we can solve this problem using SQL. The key to solving this problem lies in joining these two datasets carefully. We'll use something called a left join between the visits table and the transactions table. Let's understand what that means. With left join, we start with the visits table. We're saying we want to keep all the visits, even if there is no matching transaction. In other words, it'll keep all records from the visits table. If a visit has a matching transaction, it will bring in the transaction details. If no transaction exists for that visit, we'll see null values in the transaction columns. That's very powerful for this kind of problem. Next, we need to find the visits where no transaction happened. How do we do that? We simply check whether the transaction's visit ID is null. If it is, we know that visit had no purchase. This check, where transaction visit ID is null, allows us to filter out only those visits where customers didn't buy anything. Once we have that, we just need to group the data by customer ID and count how many times each customer had such visits. This gives us exactly what we need, a simple report with Customer ID. Number of no transaction visits. This technique is used widely in SQL whenever we need to find records without a match in another table. Now let's solve the same problem using Pandas. In Pandas, we use a similar concept as SQL called a merge operation. It's basically the same as SQL joins but done in Python. We start by merging the visits and transactions data frames using a left join. This keeps all the visit records and brings in transaction details wherever available. Next, we need to find visits where no transaction happened. How do we do that? We check for rows where the transaction ID is missing. Pandas represents missing data as NaN, and we can easily detect those using the isNaw function. This gives us only the visits where customers didn't buy anything. Finally, we group the results by customer ID, and we count the number of such visits for each customer using groupby and size. This approach in Pandas mirrors what we did in SQL, but the advantage here is we can handle everything inside Python, which is great for analysis pipelines or Jupyter notebooks. This problem may look simple, but it teaches several critical concepts that are highly valuable in the world of data analysis. Here are some important takeaways. Left join with null filtering. This is a powerful pattern in both SQL and Pandas when you want to find records with no matching data in another dataset. Missing data analysis. Real-world datasets often have missing or incomplete records, and this problem teaches us how to analyze those cases effectively. Customer behavior analysis. This is the core of many business intelligence tasks, finding out how customers behave and identifying cases where they don't perform expected actions like making purchases. Practical applications. Businesses use this type of analysis for marketing campaigns, targeted discounts, loyalty programs, and even optimizing store layouts. This problem isn't just about solving a LeetCode question. It's about applying fundamental concepts that are crucial in many job roles like data analyst, business intelligence engineer, and data scientist. Alright, that brings us to the end of this video. Today we walked through the problem in detail, understood its real-world significance, and solved it both in SQL and Pandas, focusing on logic, not just code. If you enjoyed this detailed breakdown and learned something new, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. And if you love content like this, combining SQL, Pandas, and data analysis problems, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you won't miss future videos. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments. Did this explanation help you? Would you like to see more real-world SQL plus Pandas problems like this? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.